pathological kind of fixation that comes from just this immediate unhappy consciousness. You know, I know it's a loaded, big word term. A lot of history, a lot of people don't understand it. Let's just call it the immediate cognitive dissonance you have when realizing that the blue pill world is full of shit. Puts your mind in a really uneasy state that lends you to having this kind of extremely pathological view that veers toward edginess and extremes. I think that you know, when it comes to like
so
radicalization in a way that's unhealthy, that I would consider unhealthy, I think that's what it is, right? Being unable to be reconciled. I can't really respect people who are like,
and
okay, Destiny or Vosh, especially Destiny in this case, because he's even less extreme than Vosh when it comes to his politics. It's like, well,
all right,
like
everything
a
is
really
up
cool-headed
and running
and calm
as I
way
want it to be.
of dealing with the world. Well, maybe he does, right? But his audience is not living in the same reality as the rest of the country. DGG does not live in the same reality as like the rest of America, normal, like ordinary people. Those people have created like an artificial world of delusion where they can like literally distort reality to be anything they want it to be, right? And the same is true for VGG. It's like it's such a niche,
so that's how that works.
Micro kind of thing.
All right.
And you're saying, oh, doesn't this apply to your community too, Haas? And I don't think it does, because my community isn't as all-encompassing as theirs. I don't really have personal, like I don't have Mr. Girl, Lavloon. I don't have that kind of shit that goes on in IG. I'm very much a guy who turns on my fucking camera and starts yelling about North Korea, and then I fucking go to bed. We don't do this thing where we're encompassing so many different aspects of life. And by the way, I don't like, whenever I give personal advice about relationships and all that kind of shit, nobody sees this as an ideology. Everyone just sees it as Haas giving his personal opinion, right? So I think that's why it's different. I think VGG and DGG kind of do act as cults. And
just for the hell of it.
It's not because Vosh and Destiny are smart, especially not Vosh. Destiny that might have an inherent ability to just like have quick reflexes when it comes to his mouse, use a StarCraft champion, whatever. I guess that's something. Vosh is like a plainly stupid, like irredeemably stupid fucking person. There is nothing about Vosh that is intelligent. He's not knowledgeable in any kind of way. He's not necessarily articulate in terms of his ability to quickly form logical responses to the arguments of his adversaries. All Vosh really has going for him is this kind of posturing pretense that he can diffuse the necessity of falling into the red pill pipeline. All he does is kind of offer this
diffuse
alternative,
the necessity,
which, while not
like I
really
know that
addressing the underlying cause of the cognitive dissonance,
right-wing types
it
are necessary
in a way that just allows inherently, you know, troubled and disturbed people
how do you come to that
articulate their cognitive dissonance in a disingenuous way. Vosh's community is made up of neo-Nazis who have learned all of the right kinds of words to say and all of the right kinds of narratives to adopt in order to disguise their underlying neo-Nazism. But the fundamental reality of like the hyper imperialist chauvinism and all that kind of stuff, I mean, that is still there, right? You look at Vosh's community, they still do have an extremely Nazi view of Russia, for example, of Iran, of the third world or whatever, the backward Muslims. Look at how their response to the Qatar thing, right? And this is what leftists don't understand. I saw a lot of leftists on Twitter who were complaining about Vosh's kind of pandering to incels. Oh my god, Vosh! The reason people become MRAs and red pill is because they are trying to preserve their privilege! Well, no, they're both wrong. Both the ultra-leftists and Vosh are both wrong. The truth is that leftists cannot address. It's not that they're not doing it, it's that there is no way for leftists to successfully address the cognitive dissonance that inheres in a man confronted with the obvious bankruptcy of the establishment. There's no way for the left to address that. all you can really do is disguise it in new ways and in different ways, such that it still weds people to the establishment. And the crazy thing is that when you look at this in terms of objective reality and in the objective world, not just ideology, you can very easily see that if you become a neo-Nazi, you are still wedded to the establishment, right? If you become a Vosh supporter, you're still wedded to the establishment. So both of them have this way of pacifying the cognitive dissonance. Freezing the cognitive dissonance in place, preserving the cognitive dissonance, turning it into a form of radicalization and extremism, or, in the case of Vosh, simply replacing it with this parasocial relationship with Vosh. But I think only someone like me, and this is where I am going to toot my own fucking horn, just like I toot your mom's horn late at night. But I am gonna toot my own horn.
I am so bad.
And,
Gimme.
and say, I think I'm different. I think I'm smarter. I think I do it better. I don't actually, give in to the extremism that comes with the cognitive dissonance. I try to bring people to a point of resolving that cognitive dissonance. And if you're gonna say, oh, Haas, you have a justice parasocial community, I don't. I don't think my community really gives that much of a fuck about my personal life. You guys don't. It's like, I brought Nadia on stream because she was here. And, you know, I didn't want her to sit around and do nothing, right? But, like, nobody cared. Nobody, like, pries into my life. Nobody gives a fuck, right? You guys are here for the meat and potatoes of what I actually offer. And I think, more importantly than calming or de-radicalizing people, I just allow you guys to think for yourselves. I allow you guys to articulate the necessary ability to actually...
This guy's definitely a solid personality.
Oh, how is Haas so smart? Because I teach you my craft. I teach you my fucking secret so you can be like me. That's what I fucking do. You want to be like Vosh,
Yeah, let's do
you can't, right? Because Vosh is this kind of person posturing that, oh my god, I'm an expert at debating. I'm just inherently more intelligent. He's not, right? But Vosh doesn't actually inspire people to understand theory, for example. Destiny, I don't know, I mean, what does Destiny teach people? I don't know, right? I don't really think they teach people anything, actually. I think they just put people's minds at ease, whereas I think I do the opposite. I don't think I de-radicalize people. That's the thing. I don't de-radicalize people. All I do is give you your own trouble, right? I bring your trouble back to you. You come here looking for an answer about your own cognitive dissonance, and I simply say,
even better
your cognitive dissonance is yours. So take responsibility for it. And that's ultimately my message. Take responsibility for your cognitive dissonance. Don't try to cope with it. Take responsibility for it with this insight, right? This new insight. That's what Marxism is. That's what Marxism-Leninism actually is.
Okay, I think
Vosh,
literally a communist, but I don't think that's what it is.
Vosh basically is a bigger threat to the youth of this country.
Agreed.
It gives him more significance that he has. Saying Vosh is worse for men than the libtard blue hair feminists on Twitter. The reason Vosh is worse for men is because Vosh actually tries to castrate men and teach them how to be soy cucks, which also turns them into creeps, by the way. Whereas these libtard whatever women on Twitter, they're not really interested in even dealing with men. So let them just be among themselves. You know what I mean? all these libtard feminists, they don't like address masculinity on Twitter. They address it when they're getting fucked offline by their Republican boyfriends. And that's the part of the story Vosh is not giving you. Of course, these libtard feminist blue hair women are not going to respect this idea of coddling men. Why? Because they're already getting fucked by these Republican toxic masculine men off camera and offline. So they go to Twitter when they're not dealing with masculinity, when they're not dealing with men. They do not go to Twitter to be exposed to masculinity, to even deal with the issue of masculinity. To do that, they actually go to real men in real life. This is what Vosh is not telling you. It's not that they're deliberately neglecting men's issues and men's needs. It's that they don't recognize social discourse or Twitter to be a place for that to be dealt with. And you know what? I agree with them. I don't actually think the internet is a fucking place to address the question of how to become a fucking man. The only thing you can do on the internet to inspire manhood in someone is to be so ruthlessly fucking cruel to them that they'll fucking realize that their manhood is gonna come offline. Don't fucking seek your manhood on the internet. Chat, don't seek your manhood in my soothing fucking words. You seek your fucking manhood when I tell you, you're a fucking little bitch, you're a lazy fuck, go out and make something of yourself. That's how you address men's issues. You don't fucking do it by giving them a coping pipe. That's for women. Women go on the fucking internet to talk about their issues and problems. Oh my god, I hate men, and then they're going and, you know, they're getting their pussy devastated by, you know, some fuckboy, right? That's the women kind of thing. That's the women kind of thing. That's what they do. Women go on the internet to whine and complain about men.
That hurt.
But that doesn't actually mean they hate men. It just means they need to cope with the way real life men frustrate them. I don't respect feminists in the way Vosh does. That's the difference. I don't respect them. I'm not like, I don't want these people to be talking to young men and young whatever. I don't want them to. I don't want them to. I don't want these fucking Twitter libtard feminists to just
keep getting
try
good
and give advice to
lineable
young men. That would be a fucking disaster. That would be a calamity. I don't want them to fucking do that. And as far as the left is concerned,
and I'm getting a
the issue is not
line
that
of
the
crush.
left doesn't address men's issues. That is
away from the
completely
best.
missing the point. The issue is that the left is inherently unappealing to a man's sentiments, to a man's psychology, to a man's psyche, right? A man is going to be inherently put off by leftism, not because, you know, that they're so intimidated, because they're so intimidated by the fact that, oh, men are not welcome in this space. Let me put it this way, right? When you see the most toxic motherfucker who has a Bugatti, he's got 20 bitches and a yacht, you think that makes most men feel accepted? You think most men... Thank you so much, PJ.
I think most feminists say what they say to look good to other women.
Who knows? Yeah, I think that's... Thank you so much, PJ. But a lot of it's bitterness, too. That's a real thing. But I'm trying to say...
Why is it raining? Weather forecasts
do you think
don't
when
say
men
rain.
look at Andrew Tate, they feel accepted? When they look at someone who has things they'll never see or be able to experience in their fucking life? You think when a man goes to Fight Club and everyone's getting the shit beaten out of them, you think that's a welcoming experience? It's not. It's not. Men don't want to feel welcomed or coddled. They don't want to feel accepted.
Got it.
They just want their manhood to be given sense. That's all they want. They just want things to make sense. They just want things to make sense. That's really what it fucking is. It's not about Are you caring for them? This whole paradigm of care, oh, we need to be caring. No, that's not what it fucking is. It's literally like, is this the truth? Or is this retarded libtard delusion? When a man looks at leftists and the shit they say, it's like an on and off button in their fucking head. It's not what these libtard feminists are saying. Oh, men are just trying to protect their privilege. It's not what Vosh is saying. Oh, men don't feel welcome enough. What it really is a man looks at that, he goes, yeah, that's a bunch of, that's like women retardation. Like, that's just stupid shit. That's like, that's not reality. It's like when you, it's like if you're a libtard hippie retard and then you go to jail and then you realize, oh my god, it's not rainbows and sunshine, really? It's like men have a certain sensibility about the world. That's just the truth, okay? It's like women don't care about truth, they care about feelings. They don't actually care about like what is actually fucking
Big
true.
Bird.
Like, put it this way. Look at that female judge who demanded Alex Jones pays like $1 trillion. Do you think she did that with any consideration about the plausibility of that number? No, what she did that because, oh, my feelings are going in the millions and billions and trillions right now! My feelings, $1 gazillion dollars! That's how women think. Women measure reality based on their feelings. Men measure their feelings based on reality. That is. Clip. Quote it. Quote it. Quote it. It's the smartest thing I ever said. Smartest shit I ever said. Smartest shit I ever said. Women measure reality based on their feelings. Men measure their feelings based on reality.
Yeah,
Oh,
no,
wow.
I'm not interested in this.
Okay.
Empress,
Let's go.
Empress.
Let's go. That's just off the
Jeez, how old
dome,
is
right?
that con? How long
That's
did it
literally
take me
how
to
it is.
respond to that?
If you want leftism to be appealing to men, leftism is what has to be destroyed. Because leftism is not based in reality. That's why it's not appealing to men. Men don't find leftism appealing because it's not based in reality. It's based in bullshit. It's cringe and it's delusion. Men care about what's real. Here? They care about what's real. That's what I'm tweeting this shit. I'll tweet it tomorrow. Fuck it. Should I tweet it? I'll tweet it.
Oh, I got that one. Lionel's further down.
Why leftism is female.
There's the Lionel. So.
Nah, I'm not gonna tweet it.
Don't mind me, I'm just looking for a rock.
Can I tweet it?
I'll kill you later, though. I'm tempted to let him live. Considering he's just leaving me alone.
Based! Based!
Too close.
Based! Alright. Tweeted it. Alright, anyway. Look. That was such a banger quote, honestly. But that's really what it is. Leftism is never going to be something that is going to be appealing to young men. Thank you so much, Alexander.
The
Appreciate it.
carpet is so based.
Let me put it in another way. I'm gonna explain this to you in another way, right? It's crazy. It's gonna be in a way that's less controversial. It's not just that leftism is delusional. It's that leftism is activistic. Leftism is basically saying reality should be this way. This is how things should be. This is how I want reality to be, based on how I feel, or based on my
leftists
sentiment.
aren't particularly good at reality.
They're
better at people in emotions, but not at reality.
That's what men care about. Men don't care about how reality should be, because morality, even something like morality, at least from a masculine standpoint, is ultimately based on just objective necessity of real reality, right? Like, when a man says, hey, that vase should be on that shelf, what they really mean to say is that this is the proper objective place of that vase. But when a woman says that vase should be on that shelf, what they mean to say is that some kind of injustice or transgression has occurred that has put their feelings and their sentiment at odds with reality. So it's a completely different understanding of reality. And if women want to say, I don't think that, I don't give a fuck, right? As far as leftism is concerned, it's based on that female
I get the horse
bullshit.
here?
That's what it's fucking based on, right? Men don't want to also have to give up. Put it this way, right? If you are going to be an activist, don't you have to kind of surrender your sovereignty as a person to some institution, to some collective, to some hive mind? Think about it. Like okay, you want to be an activist who thinks reality should be some other way. Well, what does that have to do with me? And by the way, I'm gonna put it in different terms. When leftists say they want reality, that this should be a different way, what they're really saying is not that this implies anything about reality. What they're really trying to give expression to is just the pure negativity of the injustice. Like, what they're really just saying is things should be this way, aka things are not what they're supposed to be. And that, for them, is the objective truth. The injustice itself is the objective truth. It's just not a masculine state of mind, right? Thank you so much, PJ.
Weckmen are used to there will be enacted by their men. Since they don't really have husbands anymore, their man is the government.
Yeah, that is kind of a thing. That is kind of a thing. But thank you so much, PJ.
Yeah,
that's kind of a thing. Really, what we're getting at here is it's that, right? It's like for leftists,
really great for hunting.
The implication is just that injustice is the ontological fact of being. Injustice is an ontological fact of being itself. That's the point of leftism. But the masculine state of mind says that there is a state of being that is just
need a few of them.
Irreducible to your feeling of betrayal or disappointment. Like, it's not about how you feel. It's about the external thing. It's not about your inner feeling. It's about the thing itself, right? And I can go into psychoanalysis and Lacanian psychoanalysis and explain how this relates to the phallic function and so on and so on, the function of signifiers. I can do that, function? But I don't. It's gonna be too hard to explain to you. So you just trust that I know what I'm fucking
That's
talking
a term
about.
I haven't heard.
And even more than that, even more than just trust that I know what the fuck I'm talking about, really just think about it, whether it makes sense or not, right? Doesn't it make sense, what I'm saying? That men are concerned more with external fact? This also can be reflected in men's humor.
You are arguing the difference between solid and fluid personalities.
When I was in middle school and I would try to make young women or girls or whatever laughed for the first time in my life, I would try to like make them laugh in the same way that I would make my friends laugh, right? And the way I would do that is just like, I'd be like, I would like a picture of like a 500-pound, sorry, a picture of like a monstrously 5,000-pound dude. We all find that funny. If you are in middle school and you're like, yo, my dick is 20 feet tall, we all the boys laugh at that.
Got it.
But women do not find that funny. Women do not find the form of humor which is based in an exaggeration, an extreme deviation and exaggeration within reality. They don't find that funny. We do find it funny. We find it funny when there's something wrong in reality. We find that funny. Women don't find that funny. Their humor is completely different, right? It's totally different. They're more likely to laugh at. Thank you so much, Yeast. Appreciate you.
Fix the thumbnail. It puts man on top of Bosch and soy on top of you.
Who gives a fuck, man? Really? I think it's self-evident who's who, but I guess I'll do it. But man versus soy sounds better. Should I really do that? I don't know, I feel like it makes more sense the way I have it. Thank you so much, Yeast. Appreciate you. Alright, I guess I'll just fucking do it. Fuck it.
Oh well.
I guess I'll just fucking do that.
Aww. Alright. Gotta break it.
Alright, I did it. It was that easy. Yeah, man versus soy is better. Thumbnails, I don't give a fuck, dude. There's nothing you can do on the internet that's not gonna be bad optics. There's nothing. Literally nothing you can do. How come my tweet hasn't, like, triggered the fuck?
I was about to argue the helping people with glaucoma or eye problems that Mr. Beast did. Some people still try to make that into bad. Something bad. Die.
Alright. Back to what I was talking about. No, I need Twitter blue is the fucking problem. Anyway. Your Twitter doesn't come up when you search it? Yeah. Well, what is what I was trying to say, basically, is that, Bosch's entire premise is
going on.
His the view that leftists don't address men's issues is itself stupid. And also, I want to show you something just fucking ridiculous that you're gonna just see from Bosch's channel, and you'll see exactly how much Vosh is like detached from reality when it comes to this issue.
Okay.
So this is Vosh's way of trying to relate to young men. Ready? Look at this. Now, regardless of what you think about Andrew Tate, I don't think he's a saint or whatever, right? I don't particularly care that much about the issue. But regardless of what you think about Andrew Tate...
My final master sword use?
This is just the biggest cope I've ever fucking seen. He said, I'm pretty sure Andrew Tate is gay, also a virgin.
Well, that's just done stupid.
Okay, I have to explain to Vosh how the allegation of Andrew... This is when I realized it's like, Vosh, DGG is so detached from reality that they literally will convince themselves that a man like Andrew Tate is actually a virgin. And they'll believe it. Now, I used to be baffled by this level of delusion when it was leveled against me, They're like, oh my god, Hans, you're a virgin, you're a virgin. It was, I was just like baffled. I was like, where does this, how do they contrive reality in this way so artificially? But it did kind of bother me, only for the fact that it's like, well, at the end of the day, no one really knows who I am. So you could pretty much like make up whatever the fuck you want about me. I'm not like big enough to defend myself on social media. Right? And that's what bothered me. So I started to like kind of get bothered by the fact that my image on the internet is always going to be at the mercy of people who are just against me, and there's nothing, whether it reflects who I really am or not. And you guys remember when that used to bother, that was when I was on Twitch early. It's like that shit bothered me, kind of got to my head. But then over time I started to realize it's like these people call Andrew Tate a virgin. This has nothing to, they don't have the ability to control anyone's image because they're so detached from actual reality that they call Andrew Tate a fucking virgin. Dude, I'm sorry, this is just like, yeah, this is like extremely I don't care if you say he has a feminine relation to women. You can critique Andrew Tate all you want. But if you start calling him a virgin, like, dude, you are, just shut the fuck up. You are like an idiot. If you call him a virgin, what is this code?
There we go.
Dude? Vosh is the guy who fucks. That's what they're trying to tell us. The real guy who fucks is Vosh. This guy is a virgin. This is the guy who really gets pussy. Now, I get why people might have believed it about me. Like, oh yeah, Hans is a virgin. Because at the end of the day, I'm kind of like a super fringe, you know, crazy guy on the internet who doesn't have a huge following. You don't know much about me. So I can forgive that. I can't forgive retards who will buy into this copium slop that this is the guy who gets no pussy and that this guy gets all the pussy in the world. Like, yeah, Vosh is just a fucking expert on getting pussy. Like, he's just a fucking expert. Really.
Leave me alone.
I'm sorry, you're not living in reality. You're just not living in reality. So Andrew Tate is a virgin. I mean, where is this coming from?
For abusing women, they're fine. They want to rape. People
That's
who
a
like
boko.
Andrew Tate want to rape. It's
Yeah, I don't even know what the context is here, but he's saying other people want to rape. Bosh, haven't you admitted to having rape fantasies on Discord? Am I wrong about that? Didn't he have actual rape fantasies on Discord? Didn't he actually have real rape fantasies on Discord?
it's not.
Yeah, no.
So you can talk about that, sure, but like broadly, it just makes you a giant cuck. I mean, leaving aside the fact that Andrew Tate's mouth and lips are literally biologically designed for cock, you know. So you can lean on that if you
Really?
want. Just
That's what you're going
speaking
with?
broadly, this is just such massive beta behavior. What they're basically saying is they don't want or care about anything. All of their desires are completely ephemeral, and they all exist.
They start to make money.
Use their power.
Quicker
to, yeah,
kill
well,
for
on him having a
small
good
sacrifice.
I don't get how
I
this
need
is like the
these.
figurehead of toxic
no sword.
masculinity on the left. So according to Twitter, Vosh is like a bro on the left. So this is how horrible, this is how fucked up the left is, guys. On the American left, this is what's considered masculine and bro-like. That is how estrogen-filled, that is how estrogenic and low-T the American left is. That is how fucking estrogenic and low-T the American left is. And that, to me, is baffling. That is just fucking baffling, right? That's like fucking crazy. I find that insane. I find that insane. Bosch is too masculine for the American left. Okay! Okay, we get it! The left is some female bullshit. I already knew that. Leftism is just some retarded female shit. It's just some retarded female shit.
That was literally just right there. Alright. Where's my master sword? Not even. That's
Yeah.
Good.
Yeah, anyway, this is the guy who will, by the way, never debate me. And before Vosh wants to say some bullshit, like, oh yeah, I'm not gonna debate you.
You're not gonna debate someone who's smaller than you.
What are you gonna say, Vosh? You know what, honestly? I should be the figurehead for men's issues. I should be I am the figurehead. I am the figurehead. You don't believe y'all don't believe.
Who would
this
want
shit.
to be a figurehead?
You don't believe this shit. There's nobody who will give you better advice. No one will give you better advice than me. The one exception, maybe. Well, Zerka. Zerka will. We give different advice. Zerka will give you good advice. I can say Zerka does give good advice. Zerka's very wise. Okay, he's very, very wise. A lot of shit that I thought Zerka, what the fuck are you talking about? It's like, oh, okay. Zerka's got about a year or two on me.
Why am I so bad
in
at
terms of
this?
wisdom. So Zerka has wisdom. But he doesn't always express it in the best way. So, if you are a politicel and you need advice, I am the best person to... You don't know how many people call me up and ask me for fucking advice on shit. When it comes to women, when it comes to bitches, all that kind of shit. And me, right now, I actually have a girlfriend right now. I'm not sleeping around, I'm not doing that crazy shit. I actually have one girlfriend right now. But I have experience, okay? I have experience. I know how shit works. Alright? I know how shit works. The best advice will come from a guy with a wife and kids.
Oh, dragon.
Not fucking true. If you have a wife and kids, you're out of the game for years, okay? If you have a wife and kids,
Flying
you are
away
out of
from
the
me, so it
game
don't
for
matter.
years. Don't give me that dumb cope. Young men who are unmarried and single, who need advice, don't be going to someone who's got a fucking wife and kids. What do you have forgotten what game is if you have a wife and kids? Unless you're cheating on the side, then I guess you got some good advice. But if you just have a wife and kids, you're not cheating, you're not doing all that shit, sorry, but you have, what are you gonna offer? Nothing. But here's one of my pieces of advice. One of my most important pieces of advice. I'm gonna give it to you right now. First things first. Women don't give a fuck
Alright.
about looks except masculine features. Just masculine features. Other than that, take care. They don't care about looks. They care about the idea that you take care of yourself and that you have taste. Logo is right on this shit as well. Logo said, women are not sexually visual. That is so fucking true. That's another factual thing. See, you can be a fucking disgusting slob.
Okay, time for the darkness.
And still make women go crazy. You can make them lose their minds. And this is the tragic thing. This is what's so tragic. Most men do not know how to wield the power of the Force. So women are not used to men who are experienced like that. And the sad thing is that women are very vulnerable. That's why I don't like what Andrew Tate did. Because he used that power of the Force to manipulate women, make them fall in love with him so that he could put them on OnlyFans. I think that's fucked up. I don't believe in that. I'm just saying, like, you think women... See, look, everyone's hates women until you understand them. Once you understand the nature of women, you don't hate them anymore. You're just kind of like, they're kind of innocent, you know? They're kind of naive in a lot of ways. They're kind of just really naive and innocent in a lot of ways. It's just that they're so different from you that you mistake in the way they disappoint you with some kind of sinister, cunning. They're not cunning. Women are not cunning. They're like very easy to make extremely vulnerable and disarmed to you. So they're not like cunning. They don't. I've never heard of a cunning woman. Every evil woman ever is just some messy bitch. It's just I've never heard of a cunning woman. They're not cunning. They're messy, because even when they're planning shit behind the scenes, they have their wine and it's shaking with anger. They're like they're never actually truly cunning like a man is. Only a man can be silently cunning, right?
Oh, that's a lot
Only
of
a man can be... No, Cleopatra was not cunning, because every time she was planning shit, she has that glass of wine. They're shaking. Trust me, they're shaking. They're always shaking.
Oh my god.
They're always shaking. Okay?
Well,
They're
his
always
sexual gender
Never
takes
just
are absolutely
actually cunning.
garbage.
They're always shaking. Okay? But... my advice to you, here's my advice when it comes to women. I'm gonna give advice to young men right now. When it comes to women, if you can't finish 5-minute doggy, you have to realize, if you can finish 5-minute doggy, nature will naturally give you the game necessary to woo the woman.
What the hell's
When you're
5
unable
minute
to
dog?
woo the woman, that's nature's way of telling you cannot. You will have erectile dysfunction with her. You will never finish at all. But when you have the ability to do 5-minute doggy, nature will carry you. Thank you so much, PJ. Appreciate you.
They aren't cunning, but they are incisively judgmental.
PJ. A lot of dudes, I'm gonna give you more advice. A lot of dudes don't care about ass because they're lying to themselves. Men, naturally, biologically, the most important thing about a woman is ass. It's not face, it's nothing like that, it's ass. That's the most important thing. It's obviously body shape. It's that hourglass, small waist, fat ass figure, right? Hips and ass, but ass, alright? And you may say you don't care about it, but you see how long it takes to finish with somebody with no ass versus when she got the bunda. You know what I mean? As the British call it. See the difference. See the difference. There will be a difference. Because your body knows about the difference. Your mind may be blind to reality. But your instinct, your body, your heart knows what it wants. And, that is just a fact. Alright? That's just a fact. So many problems can be solved if a man just is conscious. I want to create, and thank you so much, Tristan.
Wise words.
The word I want to give to young men, this is the young men lesson today, it's called ass consciousness. I want men to start being ass conscious. A lot of dudes, I've woken dudes up. Jackson used to lack ass consciousness. I woke him up. I opened his eyes.
Found it.
And I started pointing out the women he sent me on Insta. I'd be like, she ain't got nothing. He'd be like, huh? And he started, he started to realize what I was talking about. It's called ass consciousness. Ass consciousness. Many men are sleeping. They are not aware. They're not aware of instinct. Thank you so much, old man of the woods.
I thought for a second Hillary Clinton, but I don't think she's actually human.
Alright? Boo Boy W. Alright, listen, you are just a child. If you prefer tits over ass, you are just in a child state mentality where you just, you know, you are not even a man, and you're not in the point where you just actually want it. You just are chasing dreams and illusions. You're a dream chaser. You're not a pussy chaser, you're a dream chaser. A man who wants pussy prefers ass. A man who's living in dream world prefers tits. That's the difference. And I'm not gonna explain. I'm not explaining shit, by the way. I'm not explaining nothing. I'm just telling you how it really is. A lot of dudes don't really want or even need pussy. You want to know why some dudes have zero standards? You want to know why some dudes have zero standards? Because they're ass conscious. They're like, okay, this bitch is 600 pounds. It's all I can get, whatever. That's all I can get. I guess I'll settle. I'm not one of those dudes. But when you're like out with your boys and you see them take home these Jabba the Hutt big behemoth whales, you gotta realize, it's just cause it's just, you know what I mean? It's like, it's one of those I can't explain it, man. I wouldn't do that, but if I was desperate, I don't know. I don't think I would do that though. But if I was desperate, I'd be like, okay, right? 600 pounds. Oh man. I mean, that's mega fun. Oh man, that's degenerate. Fuck that. This is just most disgusting, degenerate, filthy shit. I will never be Andrew Tate. I'm not gonna do this shit with you guys. This is filthy, this is degenerate, this is disgusting. This is, you know what? Fuck this, man. I don't believe in this fucking filth. What is this, man? Come on, man. I'm trying to rebrand. And you guys are taking me down this rabbit hole. Where we're saying this satanic, nasty
Not doing a particularly
shit,
good
man.
job
Fuck
of
this shit, man.
being non-misogynist.
I'm gonna give you some real advice now, alright? Here's my real advice. No, you know what? This is some real fucking advice. Holy shit. And I was thinking about this earlier today. My advice is, in all honesty, yeah, it was just the jokes. It was all just jokes. Unironically, just jokes. But in all honesty, seriousness, I'm gonna give you some first advice I want to give you, right? Sex is evil when it's public. And that is something very hard to wrap around an American mind. But the basic idea is that the same exact thing can be completely different based on whether it's private or it's public. Now, sex is not inherently evil when it's private with someone you trust and someone who you have some connection to. It's not evil inherently, especially if you're married. It's obviously marriage is the most important thing. There's a reason for that. It's not evil. But when you start bringing it in public, either in the form of talking about it, representing it with images, or, you know, anything like that, it takes on an extremely evil character. And I'll give you another example that I love to use, which is when you have to take a shit. Now, when you're sitting on your toilet and you're taking a megaton dump, there's nothing inherently evil or bad about that, right? But if I was on stream and I took a dump in my hand and started smearing it all over the camera, that would be extremely sinister, nefarious, just satanic, demonic, and evil, right? And there's a reason for that. And I think sex is the same fucking way. And I think a lot of people find that to be
Oh
hypocritical
yeah, he thinks
somehow,
sex is
or find that
disgusting.
to be somehow weak or somehow repressive. But I find that difference to be constitutive of our very humanity. I think if we can't acknowledge that difference, we're not human anymore. And I think it's extremely unhealthy psychologically to commingle the sphere of the public with the private when it comes to sexuality. I think it's just extremely devastating from a psychological perspective for any human being, probably man or woman, honestly. It's just an extreme, it's like a devastatingly unhealthy, horrible thing to do.
Oh, there it is.
And why that is I just think it's not just that it's the most
you.
intimate thing you can do, is I do think there's ontological stakes. When I agree with Zizek in the Ljubljana School of Psychoanalysis, who say that sex is ontology. Like, there's an ontological primacy to sex. Sex is the point at which we as human beings relate to the ontological absolute in the physical sense. Like, physically speaking, when our bodies are most related to what is ontologically absolute, it's during sex. Sex is the point where we are biologically unfinished. And in man, that's an excess, and in women, it's a lack, right? You get what I'm saying when it comes to that. But no human being just has nothing. There's no human being who is just a complete human being. You've either got too much of that or you are lacking it. But it's an imbalance. And sex is where the drive corresponding to that imbalance acquires concrete determination. So, what I would basically say, you know what, sex as a physical act or sexuality in general? I think sex as a physical act is the culmination of sexuality. It's like, that is what sexuality really is. Now, what was I gonna say?
Alright.
I think there's something also to it there when it comes to, like, the, let's call it the metaphysical skepticism of relationships, where it's just like, is this just about sex? Are you just with me? Thank you so much, PJ.
So then, would you say sex fractures God into gods, and is related to paganism in that way?
No, I don't think sex does it. No, I don't. Anyway, what I was trying to say is that, like, this whole thing of, like, oh,
chest.
do you just want me because you want to fuck? Like, that's the suspicion women always have. Like, oh, you just want me to fuck. Or men, it might be the same, oh, you just with me because I got a 20-inch dick or some shit. I don't know. But there's always that kind of thing where it's just like, if someone was more attractive who came along, would you... do you desire to be with them instead? Is all of this just based on some contingent, purely visceral, like, drive that has nothing to do with morality? And I think that's why sex has to be fundamentally a private thing. Because it is actually irreconcilable with the public sphere of morals and morality. And there's no way to control that. It's just, once you have it as something sacred and private, you can deal and put aside all of those demons in one place, instead of just having them be everywhere all the time. Anyway, let's continue this.
Yep. He's a rapist. He has 4 secret kids. I'm committing to the bit. They're all adopted.
So Vosh is also a pathological liar. He just does this thing where he just like, it's like Destiny is a liar, but in a different way. Destiny's like disingenuous in the way that he'll like, Destiny spins things in certain ways, right? But Vosh actually just fundamentally lies. Vosh is a guy who will just be like, straight up say shit that is just like actual misinformation, like factually wrong, like no room for, you know, like for example, Destiny will say some shit like, oh my god, Haas, you're insecure about your ears. Well, is that factually wrong? Well, it's ambiguous. It's like, how do you know that, right? He's claiming that, but he hasn't proved that. But because his audience respects him, I guess, so much, they will just feed into that narrative. And then, like, if I'm doing this on stream, they'll be on DG like, oh my god, Haas touched his ear because he's insecure about it. And, like, suddenly, you change every aspect of what a person is. And you transform everything a person does according to the confirmation bias of what Destiny said. And like, it can actually completely distort reality for that specific community. But Vosh is more, I'm not saying Destiny's morally better than Vosh. I don't think he is. I just think he's a little smarter. I think Vosh is just genuinely like a stupid fucking person. It's called wish casting. Is that a thing? Wish casting. The act of interpreting information or situation in a way that casts it as favorable or desired. Oh, wish. I guess that's wish casting. Yeah. Yeah, it's very similar to what they do to China. China's always collapsing. The shit Destiny does to me is it's pretty much like what State Department propaganda does to like rogue authoritarian countries. It's like the same thing. But Vosh is just a stupid. He's just like far more stupid than Destiny. Because what he will do
technically,
is he'll
Destiny
just, like,
is a good person.
Fabricate lies.
Vosh is a representation of the
no
absolute worst people that have ever existed in history.
And no one will decide to like fact check it at all in his community, because they're just like fundamentally unconcerned with objective truth. Because again, the left is based on
now Destiny is capable of being objective. He's just terrible.
There's not even a pretense that like, hey, maybe there's a contradiction.
And hates doing it,
right?
Do believe in an ideology that calls for suppressing others, suppressing women in particular. And so that's something we should think about here.
I don't believe that. I don't really think people gravitate towards reactionary ideologies because they like suppressing others. I think that's kind of reductive. I think that people have very strong fear and anxiety responses that get preyed upon by reactionary movements. And because if this was the case, misogynists would not have to constantly promote their ideology through the promotion of anxiety. And the fact that they have to go through
okay, so let's go to this.
The idea was that the primal sexual wiles of the black man would lead them to either rape or...
Why would you say that shit? What does he even say?
Joel, okay?
You know, I'm pretty damn sure Vasha says similar things.
So this was the original tweet that prompted this response stream. And it was a guy named Sid who said, the reason young men flock to the alt-right MRA movements because the left gives brain-dead advice to young men. We need to be more compassionate to them for our own sake. This is just fundamentally wrong. The reason young men flock to this stuff is not because of the advice leftists give. It's because they actually believe this is truth and that this is false. It has nothing to do with advice, but the content of their ability to relate to the world and actually make sense of the world that's around them. That is a very, very different thing, okay? One is based on your ability to relate to people's feelings. The
Right,
other
now
is
I
an
do wanna
ability
go
to
south.
relate to people's ability to measure the connection between their senses and the world around them. Those are two very
How many
different
stealth
things.
in traps?
Like, it's not about soothing people or being compassionate. It's about
9 more.
persuading people that you're correct. You're objectively
Did I
correct.
get my horse?
Objectivity is a masculine and it's inherently masculine thing because it's based on patriarchal authority.
Solid, not
And the
masculine.
big boss says this is the truth, that's the fucking truth. And you shut your fucking mouth because that's it's the truth of the symbolic
Where'd the other one go?
the master signifier, basically. It's the truth of... It's a hierarchical truth, right? And that's how men understand reality. In a hierarchical and patriarchal way. Like, this is, right? Put your foot down. This is how it is.
Oh, there it is.
Right? That's what it is. It's not about how compassionate you are, how fucking, you know, empathetic you are. So, this is just brain dead advice.
We need to be more compassionate to them for our own sake.
Okay. I want to be clear about
I'll give you another example of just derangement, I guess, in general. This is fun. I miss doing this. So here's my tweet.
I don't want to do that.
Here's my tweet.
Locked
It's
up.
2 sentences. It's just 2 sentences. Women measure reality based on their feelings. Men measure their feelings based on reality.
Again, difference
It is a
between
2
solid
sentence
personalities
tweet.
and fluid personalities.
Okay, and then look at this. This little clique of cockroaches stand shoulder to shoulder with a sex trafficker, and their gender politics coincide with Nazi ideology. The Patsy Coalition deserves nothing more than scorn and hate. The entire party should break the neck of anyone who tramples on the defense of women's rights. All of this stuff, or all about this stuff, women's rights, Nazi ideology, a sex trafficker, scorn and hate, all of this, based on these 2 sentences, which is just
Why am I getting the
claiming
fog?
that men and women relate to reality and their feelings differently. All of that from this... I didn't say or imply
think I
any...
know
I didn't
how
say
that
women
happens.
shouldn't be allowed to vote. Although I do wonder about that. But I didn't say, like, you know, women shouldn't be able to have literacy. I think that's... You know, what did Hoja mean by women's rights? Can we... Let's check Albania's... Hoja, Albania, women's rights. Because... So let's just... I guess we just look on... We'll do the Reddit thing. I mean, so we'll do the Vosh thing in the spirit of Vosh. We'll just go on Wikipedia. Just for, like, a major achievement of Hoja was the advancement of women's rights. Albania had a patriarchal country in Europe. The ancient code said a woman is known as a sack made to endure as long as she lives in her husband's house. They weren't allowed to inherit anything from their parents, and discrimination was made even in the case of the murder of pregnant women. Thank you, Mom Bello.
You should buy Twitter Blue for $8. It
That is
expands your
just
reach and gives you
absolute
priority
garbage.
on Twitter support.
Thank you, Mom Bello, but I cannot buy it at the moment. Alright, my account is still being restored. So, I have to explain people what
I
women's
actually didn't
rights
think that
means
would
in the
happen.
context of Hoja's Albania. In the context of Enver Hoja's Albania, women's rights mean, you know, murder is going to be something treated equally between men and women. It means things like, yeah, women are not just a sack of potatoes anymore. It means women will not be treated as cattle to be sold as property. It means women will be allowed to get an education and allowed to have jobs. It doesn't mean that women have the right to not hear things about the differences between men and women that upset their feelings. That's not what women's rights in Albania means, okay? Women's rights in Albania means like, yeah, we're not gonna have your genitals mutilated when you're like a child anymore. And we're not gonna like sell you for a sack of potatoes when you're 7 years old. That's what women's rights meant in communist Albania. It didn't fucking mean you have the right to not hear shit about how men and women are different. That's not what it fucking meant. It didn't mean that. Now, as for this shit about as for this shit about a sex trafficker, you know, I am upset about this, and I take it personally because before I knew who Andrew Tate was, I was saying this. So if you think this is some kind of signal to Andrew Tate, you're a fucking lying bitch. And I am calling you as a woman. You are a bitch. That's what I'm calling you. How fucking dare you deny that my misogyny is much older than Andrew Tate? How dare you try to deprive me of credit for my own fucking misogyny, you bitch? I was saying this shit way before Andrew Tate was ever a fucking thing, at least as far as when I fucking came across him. So shut the fuck up, you dumb bitch, and stop trying to fucking... Oh, no.
I really
what
just
about
wanna go to
incel
that
Hodge?
island.
Wasn't I always the incel, bitch?
And no, there's nothing on it.
Trying to take away my fucking,
But just something about
Credit?
that island calls. Yep, only one more.
trying to take away my credit? Like, what a stupid thing to say. One quote tweet. I'm liking that. I guess your judgment is based on your feelings. Again, this is just like, I don't really talk to women politically anymore on Twitter. I'm not doing that. Sorry, I'm just like, if you wanna, I'm not gonna argue with women anymore. I'm just not. They're just like, there's no point. Why would you ever argue with women about politics? It's fucking stupid and it's a waste of time. You should never do that. You and Hinkle are trying so hard to win over Andrew Tate fans. All over 2 sentences. I just have 2 sentences.
Wow,
Just
that...
2 sentences. It's just all it was. It was just 2 sentences. At 10:40.
Alright, let's get my last stealth thing.
This is like almost an hour ago. Holy shit. Yeah, is a man not entitled to the fruits of his own fucking misogyny? Now, and Andrew Tate is gonna take responsibility for shit? What is this? What is this? This is nonsense. You know what I'm hoping for? I'm hoping I get like a super viral Jackson level quote tweet. Like 100 and 200,000 like ratio. I want to get ratioed like 200,000 likes. That will propel me to this. You know what I mean? It's like,
Oh well.
oh my god. Oh my god, man. If I can go viral from this kind of shit,
Hey,
that would be fucking great.
go ahead and...
Something, by the way, and I understand that Twitter doesn't give a lot of room for nuance. I agree with this tweet. I want to add to it. Okay? I want to flush it out.
Alright, we're done with him. Back
So,
to
my
Temple.
issue with the left is
Matt Walsh is just too mean. Too mean. Following Matt Walsh's statements about Dylan Mulvaney, there was a backlash, with many classical liberals and politically homeless people being like, whoa, 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 we don't call people eerie, unearthly, weird. That's a step too far. Matt Walsh could get his point across without being so mean. However, I was actually convinced. Probably not convinced to go as far as Matt Walsh may, maybe sometimes even go a little bit further. But Matt Walsh made a really good point, and it's that we need to take away an accepting space for bad people. Now we're seeing a backlash from it. An employee of the Daily Wire is resigning because Matt Walsh was too mean. Christina Buttons wrote an article for Reality's Last Stand. That's the, I believe it's Colin Wright's Substack. Why I'm leaving the Daily Wire. There's a critical distinction between speaking truth and being tactless, between sticking to the facts and sticking it to the libs. I believe Christina Buttons is incorrect in her assessment of the culture war. Don't really know Christina all too much.
All right, time
Hear
to
good
go.
things about her, and I can respect wanting to pass off an olive branch to moderates and politically homeless individuals to convince them to join us in the fight against wokeness, the woke cult, etc.
All right.
However,
Still nothing there.
Matt Walsh, in my opinion, was not saying to be mean to everyone. He was saying to call out the bad people, the evil, those who would seek to corrupt and spread destruction. There's a big difference between being mean to your average, say, trans person and being mean to a person who is seeking to exploit, corrupt, and destroy. But before I explain why I believe Matt Walsh is actually mostly correct, let me show you what Christina Buttons has to say. And we'll get into
enough
this
key swings
scandal
for this.
with the Daily Wire.
Yes.
Although I don't really think
All
it's a
right.
scandal, it's just an employee
What do I
quitting.
want?
Why I'm leaving the Daily Wire, writes Christina Buttons. After much consideration, I am tendering my resignation from the Daily Wire, a publication to which I dedicated my time and passion as an investigative reporter for the last 6
We
months.
like to make it different,
My
Joyce.
interest in the transgender debate became all-consuming when I realized that so many of our trusted institutions, the mainstream media, government, academia, civil
need
rights and
for
gay rights
little
organizations, big
Dolphos
tech, and the
pills?
medical establishment were misled on this issue and were misleading the public in turn. As a pro-choice atheist who has consistently voted Democrat throughout my adult life, this realization, as I've written, was nothing short of world-rocking. And you see right there, this is why I want to talk to you about this. Christina, I believe you're incorrect. I do not believe that they were misled. I believe that they are intentionally misleading the public.
15, please.
down.
But it's probably going to be.
I know this because of through experience. You see, I went
Oh,
the
16.
route of let's
Better
be
than what I
nice
hoped.
and just try to inform. And what did they do? They lied about my stance on the issue, resulting in swattings and death threats and bomb threats. People leaving harassing messages and sending emails about things I never said. And I thought to myself, how strange. This polite approach, saying things like, you know, I have no issue with anybody who wants to live their life. We live and let live. But these pedophiles, they're seeping in, and we need to make sure they don't corrupt. So what did they do? They lied and claimed that I and people like James Lindsay were directly attacking all trans people. Well, that's so weird. It's so weird. It made no sense. We have trans people on the show who hang out here. I've done shows. I've gone to events where there are conservative drag queens. I have even offered to put on, for Cenk Uygur of the Young Turks, a tremendous drag show with free food and drinks. 21 and up only, of course. It's going to be drag there. You don't want kids coming to that, right? They don't take me up on the offer. I have no problem with drag. Drag's funny. People want to do these shows. They can live how they want to live. If for some reason they kept lying about everything I was saying, hey, they weren't being misled. They are lying on purpose. Now, I don't necessarily blame the average individual who reads the fake news and is tricked, which is why I understand why you don't want to be too mean, but understand
We'll need opals.
that you cannot win this space by constantly deferring to them, for which they then lie. You got to call them out. You got to take that space from them. You got to build culture. Let me read more.
All right.
When the documentary What is a Woman was released in 2022, I thought it was a brilliant commentary on the state of our culture. Matt Walsh didn't insult his interviewees, but instead let them embarrass themselves. So he says, even my liberal parents loved the movie. I completely agree. I think it was a cultural force, one of the most powerful things Daily Wire's ever done. So when the Daily Wire approached me with the
Don't keep
opportunity
those
to write
faux pas
exclusively on
there.
transgender issues with an emphasis on pediatric gender medicine, I accepted. There were difficulties working for a decidedly conservative news and media corporation, which I anticipated. For instance, health professionals would not talk to me, much less go on the record, because of their suspicion of right-wing media. Hey, that's weird. But aren't you being nice to them? Aren't you saying, let me be nice? For some reason, they won't talk to you? It's almost like they're lying. And their ideas can't stand up to scrutiny. But I pushed through these inconveniences because I felt that much of the criticism directed at the Daily Wire staff was misguided. Misguided!
Wait,
Ah, yes,
thought
yes.
that was already
Misguided. I remember the first time someone threatened to throw a brick at my face because I asked a simple question, and I said, simply misguided. Then I realized, oh, wait a minute. They're evil. I remember when I was filming outside during Occupy Wall Street, and I had them come to me and say, only film police, never film us. And I said, why? I don't understand. Don't we want to inform the public as to everything that's going on? No. We want to win. Don't film us. And I said, F you, I will film it all. Because they're evil. They want power. And they want people to give them power. And they know they're evil. They know they lie. Not every single person. Let's read more. Their position on transgender issues was sufficiently nuanced, and their editorial standards were and remain high, referring to the Daily Wire. I was told the Daily Wire stance was that adults could live their lives, etc., etc. But recent videos and posts have weakened my confidence in their commitment to this message. On Valentine's Day, Matt Walsh did a segment on his show about transgender influencer Dylan Mulvaney, who has now been viewed by millions. You are weird and artificial. You are manufactured and lifeless. You are unearthly and eerie. You are some kind of human deepfake. Everyone who looks at you will see something pitiable and bizarre. Walsh has defended these statements as good strategy because he says they rally the conservative base. He adds the goal is not to convince the other side, but to defeat, humiliate, and demoralize his opponents. Matt Walsh is correct. This triggered a race to the bottom, with other social media personas one-upping each other to see who can take more extreme stances. Now, I certainly said Matt Walsh has convinced me to be meaner. But it's only because I had already expressed that this idea is somewhat correct. In that, what the left seeks to do is use violence, threats, and humiliation to gain political power. It works. They have been insulting people on TV forever. They have been firebombing private businesses and smashing windows. They have mercilessly beaten journalists like Andy Ngo on more than one occasion. And the best thing that the right has to offer is, I'm going to be a little bit condescending and mean to these people. And what do you get? Christina, I believe you are incorrect. Christina, you come out and say, no, 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 we can't do this. We can't do this. We must sit idly by as they engage in overt acts of terror, violence, threats, vandalism, bricks in the face, fire bombs, and we mustn't counter in any way in terms of the culture war. Here's my view.
Give me all your milk.
We want to dominate culture. The Daily Wire is doing a very
Give me all
good
your
job of it.
eggs.
They're expanding and they're gaining lots of views. This is showing young people a path to success in policy and online is not with the left. You will get more views if you reject degeneracy and the cult. Worse still, if you try and do these things, you will be made fun of. Oof, that doesn't feel good, does it? Everyone laughing at you? Matt Walsh isn't making fun of Blair White. Matt Walsh isn't making fun of run-of-the-mill trans people. He's making fun of Dylan Mulvaney specifically, an individual who mocks trans people and women. Hiking heels in the woods? Come on. Christina writes there are transsexuals who are not ideologues, who know they cannot literally identify out of their sex, and who believe that medical transition is a choice for adults, not children. I count some of them as my friends. They're trying to educate the public, etc., etc. Matt Walsh's rhetoric coincided with a sudden delusion of animus towards transsexuals like my friend Blair White simply for being transsexual.
Getting so many
However,
elemental arrows
Matt Walsh
that
was
I just
talking
don't care about
specifically
regular ones.
about Dylan Mulvaney. I don't see Blair White putting on heels and prancing about the forest and falling over or running around handing tampons to women. Blair White, I think, is fantastic and has done Timcast IRL on numerous occasions and even appeared in our Cast Castle series doing funny jokes. Talking about these issues, being a real person, being relatable, and we understand. And we're friends with Blair. Blair's awesome. I know Blair is also our go-to trans person that we're all friends with. Whenever the issue comes up, everybody's always like, Blair, token trans person. We also have on several others, and there are other individuals, like a drag queen who went to CPAC, I forgot the drag queen's name. Drag and trans are two different things, mind you. My point is this. If there are people like Dylan Mulvaney, who I do not believe are trans, and are seeking to corrupt and exploit for personal gain, I think calling
let's
them
see
names,
what we got in
calling
here.
them out, insulting them, humiliating them, is not the worst possible thing in the world.
Gold,
and may
silver,
very well be
big guys.
effective in
Ooh,
certain
fire.
circumstances. In that, many people are going to go on TikTok, young people. They're going to see Dylan Mulvaney, who I do not believe is a trans person, I believe is a performance artist who is mocking trans people. And then they'll say, this is how we do it. Look at all the millions of views. Here's the problem with it. For the real trans people, who are actually trying to just get by and not be attacked or anything, it is Dylan Mulvaney, not Matt Walsh, that is causing the problems. Matt Walsh is saying, you are eerie, people will look at you with pity. Young people, however, will say that's the path towards success. And then you have actual trans people. Now there's going to be someone who looks at Dylan Mulvaney and believes that represents a trans person. It does not. Dylan Mulvaney handing out tampons and bathrooms
having
to women
fun
and
for
wearing
once.
high heels in the woods is insulting trans people and women. I believe Dylan Mulvaney is a narcissist who wants fame and found fame in this path. Now, some people say, oh, that's ridiculous.
Oh.
Nobody would fake being trans in order to get followers or whatever. Madonna just got plastic surgery. Celebrities get surgery on their faces all the time, changing who they are and their appearances, getting hair plugs and toupees to be someone they are not for fame, for money, for power.
All right,
Why wouldn't
I had
Dylan
my
Mulvaney
fun.
do that? Why not? I mean, Hollywood is nothing but plastic surgery. People's faces look completely different. Some are really weird looking. And so you think it's different now? Spare me. I don't. Christina goes on to say, many left-wing media outlets deliberately misinterpreted Knowles' claim that transgenderism should be eradicated from public life entirely as a call to for eradicating transgender people, and many later corrected their headlines to accurately reflect the quote. A generous interpretation of Knowles' statement is that he wishes to eradicate gender ideology. Now, I think what Matt Walsh is saying is that he wants trans people to not go out in public. He wants there to be no public perception. It's a bit of middle. He's not saying kill anybody. He's saying don't let it be publicly or socially acceptable. That is, trans people
I
will be
didn't
allowed
have
to walk
to
around
kill
and
a
do whatever
single
they want,
one of them.
but they won't be on TV, they won't be in movies, and people will always be like, yeah, whatever. The difference now is you have people like Dylan Mulvaney pretending, in my opinion, to be trans for followers. The political right often rails against identity politics and group labels, yet many fail to distinguish between trans people and trans activists. This is not immaterial in my opinion, because we make that argument all the time here at Timcast. An important lesson we've learned from the growing number of detransitioners is that trans identities are not always fixed. Being trans is not innate and biological the same way being gay is. Many are socially influenced to adopt trans identities for a variety of reasons. A number of those who are trans today may detransition tomorrow, and they will need our help. Yes, they absolutely will. And Matt Walsh will welcome them with open arms. And he will say, I'm sorry they did this to you. That's what I was fighting against. The reason why I called out people like Dylan Mulvaney is they seek to use algorithmic influence to harm children for personal gain. Now, I'm not saying Dylan Mulvaney is laughing behind the scenes wanting to harm kids. I'm saying they don't care of the collateral damage that they will make in chasing after followers. She goes on to say, I'm keenly aware of the distinction between factual reporting and opinion, etc., etc. In light of these concerns, I can no longer in good faith maintain my employment with the Daily Wire. There are many wonderful journalists at the organization, etc., etc. What now? I'm writing a book. I've illustrated several children's books. Your generous support gives me the opportunity. This is the scandal. I don't think Christina's a bad person. Not at all. Christina's probably a very good person and well-intentioned. Unfortunately, seemingly new to the fight, inexperienced and naive. I've been doing this for over a decade. It's been quite some time since I've been involved in activism and politics since the 2000s. I've worked for many nonprofits. It has been my entire life for over 2 decades. How do I get to the place that I am? Did one day I just start making YouTube videos and say I'm going to talk about all this stuff? No. When I was a kid, I was handed a CD to play. My friend's CD. I wasn't given it. He said, play this music. And I was like, what's this? The Offspring. Whoa. Punk rock music, baby. And then all of a sudden, the classic rock stuff from my family and the hip hop from my neighborhood got backseat. And I'm listening to Americana by The Offspring. I wouldn't call it any kind of real punk rock. Sorry, Offspring. It's pop punk, fine, whatever. And it's got some good songs in it. The kids aren't all right lamented the tragedy of the suburbia collapsing, the kids doing drugs and, you know, teenage pregnancies and things like that. Then I started listening to more and more of it. Listening to this music got me more people saying, you should listen to real punk. Then I started listening to other bands. You know, I got into Bad Religion more, skateboarding, then just Anti-Flag and bands like that, then Against Me. And I started listening to all these messages and all this music. And I was like, man, the world is a messed up place, and they just let them get away with it. And so my friends started talking about, you know, getting involved and going to protests. You oppose this, right? I see the music, and I get involved in politics more. Always playing music, always getting involved in the politics, and then eventually finding my way to nonprofits to work directly on solving the problem. And boy, did I learn a lot. You know, these activist organizations,
there's a
these
Yiga guy.
nonprofits, they were lying to people for money. It was crazy to me. They actually encouraged us to lie. I couldn't believe it. So I leave one organization for another. The next second organization I worked for weren't so much lying at the time, but it was mismanaged. And it was a weird system. And I decided, you know,
Get
I'm
one-shotted.
for a friend, worked for another organization, eventually found an organization that was shorting our paychecks. About that. Well, I'm good at math. And so I quickly looked at the paycheck and said the numbers are off. No, don't tell me that I'm wrong. I know for a fact. Oh, we're sorry. Came back, fixed the paycheck. Oops, they didn't really. They still shorted us. And I said, I am not stupid. I am good at math. You're shorting our paychecks. I'm not going to warn you again. Long story short, I won a lawsuit. Couldn't believe it. This organization was lying. I thought we were doing good. Went to work for another nonprofit eventually when I was out in LA. Two of them in the long run. And both of them lied to people. I couldn't believe it. I couldn't believe it. And so I said, I'm done with this. And I stopped. Then I went to Virginia, hung out with my brother, and then Occupy Wall Street started. I said, that sounds exciting. What's going on there? As always, I was involved in this kind of stuff, and I went and checked it out. One thing leads to another, and then there I am telling people about what's going on. There's a lot more to the story, mind you, but I was deeply involved in politics. I've experienced the lies and the deception and the manipulations from the beginning. And I can tell you now, they're all lying to you. They're not misled. They know what they're doing. I was actually instructed by one nonprofit to lie to people on the street when I challenged the lies. As the story goes, Deepwater Horizon was a catastrophe. They gave us these sheets and said, we want to raise the issue with people and make sure they know what's going on. Go out and talk to them and fundraise. And then I had one guy tell me I was a liar. I read the script, I gave him the facts,
nice
and
guy,
he said, no,
right
that's not
there.
true. That's not how much oil is being spilled. It's way less than that. And I was like, and I look at my binder and I'm looking at the notes. I'm like, that's not what it says. He goes, you're lying to people for money. And then I said, look, man, if I'm wrong, I had no idea. This is what they told us, and I thought it was correct. We'll get it corrected. I'm sorry. Yeah. So I call up the office and say, hey, these facts are wrong.
Regular
I'm getting
ice
yelled at.
fraud?
And they
No
said,
thanks.
don't worry about it. Just keep reading it. No, I'm not going to give bad information to people. We need to do something about this. And they said, no, just keep reading it. I couldn't believe it. Wow. That was the game. They didn't care that they were lying to people. They wanted the money. So when I see these corrupt individuals, I don't think the answer is we must placate them and be nice to them because, oh, they're just misled. No, they're lying on purpose. I've seen it my whole life. They're always lying for power. Now we can see the Democrats and the J6 committee withholding exculpatory evidence to lock a man up. The Q shaman being escorted by cops. What's the argument? Well, he had already broken into. The cop said, well, I guess we can only aid and abet him. No, it makes no sense. So, leaving the Daily Wire. I think there's probably other reasons somebody might not want to work the Daily Wire. My understanding of their environment is that they're a very traditional media company. The way they have restrictions on certain things, their contracts and all that stuff. You know what? Don't work for them then. That's fine. I think they do tremendous and great work. Jeremy's Chocolates. We ordered $2,000 worth of Jeremy's chocolate bars. It's probably just a private label chocolating service. The point is winning the culture.
Ooh, what's that?
Building culture. Supporting cultural endeavors. I view the Daily Wire as a more stodgy corporate, but that's fine. Every other media company is too. Timcast is quite not. We're a bit crazier. And that means we'll probably be substantially less successful than the Daily Wire. They have been growing at an exponential rate, and they've always been bigger than us, but growing way faster than we do. Ain't nothing I can do about it. I can only just be me and run the company. My birthday's coming up. If you want to give me a birthday present, become a member at timcast.com. Our membership growth is substantially lower and slower than Daily Wire's. Their business practices work. What they do works. And if in the end, the Daily Wire becomes the new Hollywood, with traditional values and meritocracy at its core, we've won. And then we can argue about creativity and independence and all that stuff.
Bye.
But putting aside all of these business arguments, the reality is the Daily Wire does a tremendously powerful job that is good for all of us. And the reality is Matt Walsh is, I say, mostly correct. I'm not saying there's every circumstance you want to be a jerk to people, but you got to call out the bad people. You have to. And in that capacity, he's right. So, even the Daily Wire. Good luck. I'll leave it there. Next segment's coming up at 6. Thanks for hanging out, and I'll see you all there.
I thought that would work. Yellow. Uh-oh. Oh, that's actually kind of cool. Alright, we're done. Not interested. There's my YouTube. Play some funnies. Where's the audio?
If you would have took that out about 10 minutes ago. Look at him. If you would have took that out about 10 minutes ago, I probably would have asked you for a piece. I mean, I really would have asked you for a piece. Might even beg for a piece. But you cremated that motherfucker though, I won't pass.
Nah, I want a
look at him.
piece.
If you would have took that out about 10 minutes ago, I probably would have asked you for a piece. I mean, I really would have asked you for a piece. Might even beg for a piece. But you cremated that motherfucker though, I won't pass.
Cleanest! There we go, we got air! Yee!
I swear the only people more crafty than rednecks is convicts, boy, because rednecks, it's like they just born with max level craftsman stats. I seen a redneck riding down the street one time on a George Foreman grill with a rocket tied to the back on monster truck tires.
Cleanest! There we go, we got air! Yee!
I swear the
and we both pull up and we go to your girl. Odds are I'm gonna take that bitch.
you look like the Wish version of G-Eazy and you talking about taking somebody girl. You must gonna use your money to hire somebody else to do it. You like you take Flintstone gummy still. You like you struggle taking the groceries in the house. Hell, you need to take your ass to the gym and get rid of that premature pigeon chest that you got. Talking about you gonna take somebody, girl. What? You like your head way more than your torso, man. You need to take your ass to sleep because you're a little delirious right now.
And we both pull up and we go to your girl. Odds are I'm gonna take that bitch.
I'm just
You
gonna
look like
mark
the
that
Wish
complete.
version of G-Eazy, and you talking about taking somebody, girl.
Here's this one. Alright.
Now let me tell you something.
Nezuko are taken in by Tamayo and Yushiro, two kind-hearted demons. Because of Yushiro's blood demon art, he is able to mask the presence of any person or demon with a paper talisman. Theoretically, this makes them untraceable. However, with Yahaba's blood demon art, he is able to track the footprints of our group all the way to a clearing in the forest. From there, he was able to deduce the hideout was being hidden from them, which Susumaru confirmed by chucking a Tamari ball at it. With tracking abilities like that, maybe I should get Yahaba to help me find my left AirPod. Did you ever wonder how Susumaru and Yahaba found Tamayo's house? During the Asakusa arc, Tanjiro and Nezuko are taken in by Tamayo and Yushiro.
Alright, I need my stealth.
He's a quick one. Ouch, you got me. Ouch, you got me again. You little shit. Don't wrinkle your nose. You do not wrinkle your nose. Oop. Oop. Oh, she's so quick. Don't you wrinkle your nose. Whoa, she's a quick one. Ouch, you got me. Ouch, you got me again. You little shit. Don't wrinkle your nose. You do not wrinkle your nose. Oop.
This take shot straw is guaranteed to make Hennessy taste better. The people that know me know I cannot take no Hennessy shot. Unscrew this, take the top off, get your spirit of choice. I ain't choosing this, y'all chose this. Pour it in there. We filled it up, screw the top back on. I got my shot straw filled up with liquor. Now it's time for the chaser. To activate the straw, take this little rub off, hold this bottom piece and twist this top piece. Okay, oh, wait a minute.
That's way too much effort to drink some liquor.
Activate the liquor. If you done took that rub off, you stick it in. And it's supposed to make Hennessy taste better. I don't know if y'all noticed. I didn't make no face. You see all this liquid in there? You just finished a shot? This definitely made Hennessy taste better. Link in bio.
Swiftor says go into prone. Swiftor says while in prone, rotate counterclockwise.
That's to your right, people.
Oh, right, okay.
Swiftor says now go clockwise.
Now to your left.
Oh. Which way's the left?
All right, now stand. Swiftor says freeze.
He's dead.
3 people? What? That was one person's head!
You shot me through the tree.
Oh! Sorry about that. Let's do a little experiment here. Swiftor says last person to go into prone is in trouble. Oh, bro. Swiftor says, you come stand over here, man. First person to stand gets to fire the gun. Swiftor says, you, come with me. Swiftor says, stand up if you have a sniper rifle. Swiftor says, what's your name?
Jimmy.
Swiftor says, Jimmy, stand right over here. We need one more assistant for this.
Here, I volunteer myself.
All right, great. Swiftor says, Jimmy, fire.
Let's
What?
Go. Let's go.
Swiftor says, Jimmy, go into prone. Swiftor says, you 4 guys go into prone.
Oh,
Swiftor
there
says,
he
Jimmy,
is.
fire. No. Screw the tree. Everyone back in line. Swiftor says, stop. Swiftor says, go into prone. Swiftor says, while in prone.
Just full-blown war crimes.
It counts. This is pretty good. It definitely counts. I've seen
Nothing new.
logos do some crazy stuff with Falcon. So, speaking of crazy stuff, I already got a crazy opening. Oh god, make it stop.
All right.
I actually feel like the approach that Hax has been taking, or at least was taking against Salt, is
Not enough to kill.
gonna be that effective against Magi, I feel. Especially against Falco period with lasers. You kind of can't play as passively when he has that.
Yeah, and we saw it towards the end of
Oh, I'm
Magi
never
Zombie,
getting that
right,
stuff.
where so much of, especially on the stadium game, Magi was like sticking it on the Pokeball and
That treasure chest.
just saying, "You come to me, like lasers are gonna force this interaction," and here we go, like a ton of damage again. And these mix-ups with the up airs are so good. It's like
Ooh,
a
drill
Magi
sack.
trademark.
It's actually so
Ooh, and it's got the durability bonus. Goodbye.
Check out our channel, basically talking about how it works. That was a quite interesting suicide downer.
Still works out though. I mean, like overall, it has just been the Magi show for these first.
All right. Fireproof. And so much loot. What does he? Oh. The stuff I just sell. I only sell that stuff. Buy it. I need to get my. Oh, I forgot. I gotta write down. Pretty sure he's an. Let's look up Daryl David. Oh, this guy again. Referee. Alright, listen.
Growing up, I spent a lot of time overseas. My father worked in the U.S. Foreign Service. From 1961, when I was 2 years old, until I was 13. Every few years, we would move to a new country. I lived in Ethiopia, Ghana, Senegal, Guinea. I traveled to Brazil, Germany, Yugoslavia, Sweden, Syria, Iran, and many more. In these countries, I went to international schools as a child of a diplomat. These schools were filled with kids from all over the world, every race, color, creed, and ethnicity. The classroom looked like a United Nations of children. In a way, it was a United Nations of children. Growing up in this environment, you might think I'd have appreciated this multicultural upbringing. You'd be wrong. I wasn't even aware of multiculturalism as a concept because it was just the way it was in my world. But when I came back to the United States, I became aware of it very quickly. I saw the segregation here, black schools, white schools. It was like moving backwards from color TV to black and white. As I got older, I realized that overseas,
what a
I was
spectacular
living 10 years
insight.
ahead of my time. That multicultural environment had yet to come to my own country. When I came back to return to school in America, it was a culture shock. There were cliques of different types of students. The jocks, the nerds, the potheads, etc. And they didn't interact with each other too much. And when in class, we learned about structures like the Eiffel Tower, the pyramids, the Berlin Wall, and others. I realized that while I had been to all of those sites, most of my classmates would only ever see their pictures in the textbook. I had seen a world of all sorts of people that could come together into one community, but they had been raised in a world where different groups didn't interact. I've been to 57 countries on every continent except Antarctica. I've played music in every state except Alaska. I've gotten along with every kind of person all over the world. The idea that we all can't get along is stupid. My life proves it. What I've learned is every single person, no matter how different from myself, all over the world, has the same 5 core values encoded within us. We all want to be loved. We want to be respected. We want to be treated fairly. We want to be heard. And we want the same thing for our family as everybody else wants for their family. Kindness is treating even those we might consider our worst enemies with these values. It can be hard to do this. It can be hard to love those who don't treat us well. It's hard to respect those we think are wrong. It's hard to treat fairly those we feel have privilege over us. It's hard to want to hear those who don't want to hear us. But no matter how hard it is, it's worth being kind. When we return hate with hate, frustration with frustration, unkindness with unkindness, it creates a toxic cycle. But when we return negativity with kindness, we help teach others to be kind. We have the opportunity to break the cycle. When one person learns habits of kindness, they treat others with kindness. And then it creates a snowball effect. One person's kindness has the power to change the world. Let me prove it. My life's work has been racial reconciliation. I have befriended those who might otherwise be considered my worst enemies, white supremacists, and I've lived the effect kindness can have. My friendship with Roger Kelly, the former Imperial Wizard of the Ku Klux Klan, led to the crumbling of the entire Maryland faction of the Klan, along with several other states. I treated him with love, respect, fairness. I let him be heard. And as he received those values, he started to treat others better too. Rather than referring to his nemesis using the typical racist and anti-Semitic epithets, he started to refer to them simply as blacks and Jews. He started being willing to see my friends and I as people, rather than as simply skin colors. And then, as he started to open his mind, he started receiving hate from his fellow Klansmen for his friendship with me, and he realized how much better kindness felt. He eventually realized he was no longer the person he once was. I have repeated this process dozens of times over 4 decades. It doesn't work every time, but if someone gives me the opportunity to treat them with kindness, 9 out of 10 times they'll return the kindness back. And over time, I've watched it change the most hateful people into better members of our society. When people realize they have more in common than they do in contrast, it opens up a whole nother world for them. This isn't just about race. This is about how we treat everyone. If I, as a black man, can treat a KKK member with kindness and see him change, then you are capable of treating those with political differences, those you're arguing with on social media, those who are of a different gender or sexual identity or religion or whatever it may be, with kindness too. Changing the world starts with you. I'm Daryl Davis. Be pro-human with me at fairforall.org. If you want to solve this issue, we need to stop addressing the symptoms. We need to stop addressing the hatred. Stop addressing the fear. Go to the source and fix the source. Address the ignorance. If you get rid of the ignorance, then there's nothing to fear because you know it. You fear what you're ignorant of. Okay? You fix the ignorance, there won't be any fear. If there's no fear, there's nothing to hate. If there's nothing to hate, then there's something to destroy. So go to the source, fix the ignorance, and you fix ignorance with education.
Sincere thanks.
Thank you for having me, I appreciate it.
On behalf of everybody that is here at the Center for Leadership Studies for, spending time with us. As I think you know, we do leadership training here. So,
Right.
so much of what we talk about is going to be kind of focused in that realm. But I was certainly intrigued when we met for the first time about 2 hours ago about some of the things that you do internationally, your travels and some of the various places that you go to bring your message. So if you wouldn't mind starting there and just say, when you travel outside of our borders to talk with people, who are you talking to, what are you talking about, that sort of thing?
Well, basically, I talk a lot about conflict resolution. And in particular here domestically, my expertise is in race relations. And many of the countries which I visit to give some of these lectures, they have their own issues. Like, for example, I was in India recently, and they have what they call the caste system there. While it's not quite the same as what we have here, there are some similarities, but in terms of conflict resolution, the principles are still the same in bringing opposite parties to the same table to have a conversation rather than avoid each other and solve nothing. Before India, a few weeks before India, in fact, I was in Israel. The conflict there is between the Palestinians and the Jews. And I visited Palestinian groups, I visited Jewish groups, and I even visited a university where Palestinians, Jews, and Muslims all go to college together. So that was pretty fascinating.
Oh yeah. Is there a difference the way your message is perceived internationally than domestically? Is there anything that you can point to, or
Well, in some cases, internationally, some people are familiar with white supremacy here in our country. Some have heard the name Ku Klux Klan and know a little bit about it. Others, they've only heard it remotely and not really quite sure what they're all about because they're so invested in their own issues. but the principles are still the same.
Okay. In my understanding from our very brief conversation is that if there is a typical consumer for your talk, your discussion, your dialogue, it has a lot to do with kids that are growing up. There's schools, there's churches, there's colleges. Is that fair? Is that the majority of where you head to spread your message?
The majority of venues in which I speak, I would say the vast majority are colleges and universities.
Okay.
But I do a number of high schools, middle schools, churches, synagogues, also civic organizations, and also corporations. A lot of corporations have time for diversity training or things like that. They'll bring in people like myself to present. And police departments.
From all of that, the vast diversity or the spectrum of people that hear your message for a variety of different reasons, do you get any more resistance from one audience versus another? Like if you think about the times you've been telling your story and people were resistant to it, is there any sort of similarity, if you will?
Sure. You know, anytime you pioneer something, you're one of the first to get off the track of the status quo. You're always going to have your share of detractors. So I have my share, even some people who look like me. Quite understand why I would sit down and talk with a white supremacist. That's just unheard of. You know, you're catering to the enemy. Why would you even sit down with them? And then there are people who look like you, who think the same thing about me. But until they see it work, they have the aha moment. Oh, I get it. Now I see what he's doing.
Yeah, see where you're going with that. Okay. In terms of like investment in youth, let's say, like some of the programs that you're doing at high schools, colleges, do you find that that age group in particular is really receptive to what you have to say versus maybe, again, people that look like me, sort of baby boomer, generational, kind of things? Like we're more set.
Oh,
in our
I
ways,
noticed how he's
potentially,
not
and
mentioning color,
we've
where
lived a lot of
with
years
Daryl
living in a
Davis
certain
is
way.
very obvious.
Is there
that
any
it's about color.
generational receptivity to your message?
Generationally, there are a lot of disconnects. You know, when I speak to a lot of younger people, many of them, I think the KKK, that's something, they heard about in their grandparents' age.
Yeah.
Is it still around? That kind of thing.
Powerful message, powerful challenge, powerful issue, but it really seems like the uniqueness of your response to that is the manner in which you approach it. It seems to me, outside looking in, and please correct me if I'm wrong, it's, what you got to do is you got to understand that. You need to invest to understand where that is coming from and what's driving it, as opposed to just openly, resisting it. Is that a fair assessment of?
Absolutely, and take it a step further. Anytime, you're going to deal with opposition or something that is not equitable, or even it may be right. You go to a foreign country, they're not wrong. They're just culturally different than we are. And we cannot leave our country and go to a country, say in Europe or in Africa or Asia, and expect everybody over there to behave and do things the same way we do. That's their culture, we respect it. When they come, they respect our culture. But it's important that we learn as much as we can about the other person before going there. So A, we don't embarrass ourselves and make us look stupid or make our country look stupid. So now, convey that to what I do with white supremacists, black supremacists, neo-Nazis, KKK members and things like that. I have studied up on these people. Oftentimes, I know as much, if not more, about them and their organizations than they do. I've even had Klansmen call me up and ask me questions because they didn't know the answer about the Klan. Yeah. So while they may not like me, they respect me for my knowledge. You have to take a leadership role if you're going to try to persuade somebody or set an example that is influential. We only have one chance to make a good first impression. We may have a second or third chance to make a good impression, but one chance to make a good first impression. And most people will judge you on their first impression. And when you're trying to cultivate a relationship with someone, it usually takes more than one meeting.
Now, it seems like as you describe what you do, you almost you're asking yourself, like, why don't more people do this? People that are really interested in solving some of the very sincere challenges that we have in the world, and it sounds like from your travels, it's not just confined to, to our country, obviously, it's all over the place. Your childhood and the ability to grow up, as I understand it, in different cultures and appreciate different cultures at a very early age, how did that help prepare you for what you eventually have become?
Indeed, it did prepare me, and unbeknownst to me, every time you go somewhere and see something different, it's in you. It's always there, and oftentimes you take it for granted. Now, my parents were U.S. Foreign Service, so I grew up as an American embassy brat. You get assigned to a country for 2 years, you come back home here to the States, you're here for a few months, maybe even a year, and then you get reassigned to another country abroad. Back and forth every 2 years. Today, I'm a professional musician, so I play all over this country, I play all over the world. Between traveling with my folks as a kid and traveling now as an adult professional musician, as of last week, I've now been in a total of 56 different countries on 6 continents. I've played in 49 of the 50 states, played or lectured. So I've been exposed to a multitude of cultures, ethnicities, colors, nationalities, religions, etc. And all of that has helped shape who I've become. Now, when I was a kid, naturally, whatever we do, we think all kids do. That's all we know. Mm-hmm. And when I was overseas, the kids that I would play with, other than the natives of the countries, in which we were, in Europe or in Africa or whatever, the embassy kids, we all did the same thing. Because all our parents traveled, and that was their job. So that was the norm. I appreciated all the things that I saw and did, but not as much until I would come back home. And I would be in class here in the States, in geography class or history class. And we would be studying the Mona Lisa, or the Eiffel Tower, the Berlin Wall, the pyramids, the Sphinx, the walkway in Damascus, Syria, where Jesus walked, things like that. I've been to all those places. I've touched the Berlin Wall. I've been in the Eiffel Tower. I stood as close as you and I are to the Mona Lisa, okay? I've been inside the Sphinx and the pyramids. So I realized then that most of the people sitting around my class here in the States, the closest they would ever get to those things were the pictures in the textbook. And I'd been to those things. So that really, really made me appreciative of the things that that I've been able to do. I remember a few times when I came back from Africa, kids my age, back when I was young, the first thing they would ask me is, did you see Tarzan? And, I got it because, if I had lived here that long and never traveled, I'd probably be asking the same thing, because that was their perception of Africa. Some guys swinging through the trees, because that's all we saw on TV here, which is totally, a made-up thing. But one of my favorite quotes of all time is by Mark Twain, and it's called Mark Twain's travel quote. And Mark Twain said, "Travel is fatal to prejudice, bigotry, and narrow-mindedness, and many of our people need it sorely on these accounts. Broad, wholesome, charitable views of men and things cannot be acquired by vegetating in one little corner of the earth all one's lifetime." And that's the God's honest truth. I would like to think, if I had not had all those experiences, that I would still be the same person I am today. Love everybody, try to get everybody to get along, etc. But in all honesty, would I? Probably not. I'd probably stay as far away from opposition as I could. Just do my own thing. One time when we came home from overseas, it was 1968, and I was age 10. And we moved to a place called Belmont, Massachusetts. Belmont is a suburb of Boston. It's right next door to Cambridge. In fact, I would ride my bicycle past Harvard University all the time. I was one of 2 black kids in the entire elementary school. I was in 4th grade. There was a little black girl in 2nd grade. Consequently, everybody else was white. And so all of my friends were white, 4th and 5th graders. And a lot of my guy friends were members of the Cub Scouts, and they invited me to join. So it sounded like fun, get to tie some knots and go camping. So I joined the Cub Scouts, and we had a parade, a march, from Lexington to Concord, Massachusetts, which is
All
also right next
I'm
to
done with
Belmont, to commemorate the ride of Paul Revere. And it was the Boy Scouts, Girl Scouts, Cub Scouts, Brownies, 4-H Club, and some other organizations.
Let's see what Michael
And the streets were blocked off. The sidewalks were lined up with nothing but white people. And they were all cheering and waving flags. And my
Public Square founder.
We have a very special guest coming up with some information that you are going to be so excited about. Michael Seifert with Public Square. So welcome, Michael. Thanks for being on Financial Issues.
I'm honored to be here. Thanks so much for the invite.
Great. Well, here at the ministry, we do biblically responsible investing, and a lot of times I have to explain the difference between patronage and ownership. So we're focused on the ownership piece of it. When we own a stock or a mutual fund, we have stewardship responsibility over that. So if we invest in a company that's then using God's money that we control to support causes like abortion, pornography, the LGBT agenda, then we are responsible for that, and we're going to have to give an answer for it. So many times people confuse this with patronage. Well, I can't use Microsoft, I can't use Apple, I don't want to do Starbucks, I don't want to do all of these things. And those are great things, and I always tell people to follow that if the Lord's putting that conviction on your heart, but it's different than what we're doing. And really, it's hard to do boycotts and things like that, but you're approaching this in a little bit different way. So tell me, what is Public Square?
Well, thank you for asking, and I think your analysis is spot on. I think the problem for Christians, believers like myself, is when we do not heed the command of Proverbs 3:9 that says, honor God with your wealth. And honoring God with our wealth looks like analyzing what do we own, exactly like you're describing. It also looks like what do we spend our wealth on, and what do we give to. Those are sort of the three components. And so we really focus on the spend piece. We so honor the people that are focusing on the own piece, like you guys. We so honor the people that are focusing on the giving side. But Public Square, publicsq.com, was started to help people that love their country, love their liberties, as endowed by their creator, and want to advance those values in the public square. We created this platform to help those people spend money in alignment with their values at businesses that have taken
Fortunately,
pledges
I am in
to honor
Oklahoma
those values.
City.
So,
There isn't
for
anything
example,
that
there are a
sells
lot
anything
of
I want.
industries where you may feel like you don't have another option. Starbucks seems like the only one, or Bank of America seems like the only one. What we discovered about 18 months ago is that there's actually a wide array of competitors to those entities that are patriotic as can be, are run by constitutionally minded Americans that love their country, and about 90% of them love their God too. These are large majority Christian businesses in the banking, financial services, plumbing, electricity, restaurants, coffee shops, all these different industries. They just need to be exposed. They need to be seen for a market that will value them. And so what we did is we created the world's largest compilation of liberty-minded, freedom-loving businesses so that users, the community members on the platform, could connect with them and could spend their dollars in alignment with their values and shift the power structures of society back toward we the people with the power of their dollar. And it's been phenomenal so far. We have 30,000 different vendors on the platform. All these businesses are ones that you can feel proud of spending your money at, so that you don't even have to worry about boycotting. Instead, you could solely focus on what you're buying. You can look to the future with a positive mindset and actually shift your dollars in a hopeful way, not focusing more on what you're leaving behind, instead focusing on what you're spending towards. And that's really exciting.
Wow, that is very exciting. And it sounds like Public Square is a great complement to what we do here at the ministry. You know, we're always talking about faith, family, finance. We're talking about stewardship, not only of money, but of this country and of our vote and being patriotic. Our founder, Dan Celia, was a very, very strong patriot, and we continue that tradition here. And you mentioned another thing is shifting your dollars. We talk about that a lot. We believe from Ephesians that we are engaged in a spiritual battle, one that we don't see around us. And money's not evil in itself, it's just a medium. And so it takes money to fund the kingdom of darkness, it takes money to fund the kingdom of light. So there's always this battle over money. Well, small business is also the backbone of our economic system here. Small business is one of the largest employers, but government's growing very quickly, but still small business is one of the the biggest employers in our country. How can businesses use your service?
Great question, and you're spot on. I think one of the things that breaks our heart the most is the fact that small businesses are so often left behind in this move toward globalist tyranny, where major multinational corporations are partnered with governments to advance political agendas. What often happens is that small businesses are stifled in the process. COVID was the perfect example of that. I think it's a grand crime against humanity that Amazon so increased their market share and their presence while preaching about lockdowns that ended up putting small businesses out of business. So there are 32 million small businesses in the United States, and our goal is to help those business owners that feel like they've been left behind, help them have a voice again in the market. And so what we've done is allow for business owners to sign up completely for free. There's no charges. They head to publicsq.com, and right there you can click add your business for free, and that link will take you to a quick onboard process where a business can build their profile and then press submit, and they'll be amazed at how fast they're seeing actual traction and return and excitement from consumers that are values aligned and are driven to support them. We've heard stories of hair salons that increase their profits 500% in a month solely from being a part of the Public Square platform. We've heard of businesses connecting with other businesses in a B2B fashion. An office supplier in Alabama that had 8 clients his first 2 weeks of joining the platform from Public Square all over the country. We've heard of clothing companies having their most successful e-commerce days ever after being on the platform. $30,000 in one day funneled through their e-commerce site. So the stories are endless, but it's very simple to get started. And our goal is that if we can connect these consumers with these businesses, that the businesses will ultimately experience not just a liberating market experience, but a profitable one as well.
That's awesome. Well, I know you probably haven't ever even watched our show because you didn't know about it when we met, but the things that you say are so equally yoked with what we talk about. We talk about the dangers of globalism all of the time, the political environment that we have, the wokeism that's happening in corporate America, and that's great if, most people want to support their local businesses. They will try to shop local. There's all kind of campaigns. And you mentioned the e-commerce site. That's great too. So you can even expand what you're doing there if you want to try to find an alternative to some of the things that you buy on Amazon. But what if you're traveling? How does the app work?
Great question. So if you head to publicsq.com, you'll see that there's an Apple Store link, so an app store. There's also Android for the Google Play Store. Or you can just use it right there on the web. So you can either download the app on Apple, on iOS, you can download it on Android, on Google Play, or you can just sign in right there at publicsq.com. Once you're dropped into the experience, you're going to see a Shop Online tab. That Shop Online tab is your online directory of thousands of businesses that will serve you no matter where you are in the country. And again, there's a myriad of different industries that you can scroll down and you'll see. You can search by category. There's also a handy search bar there for you so you can refine what you're looking for more detailed. And then there's a local tab. So there's Shop Online right when you enter, and then there's Shop Local right next to it. And this Shop Local tab has a map and some pins on the map that showcase all the businesses in your local area or where you happen to be at that moment. So, for example, if you'd like to turn on location settings, you can actually travel to a new city. You can go to Boston, and you'll see all the businesses in Boston that are a part of the Public Square experience. Or you can have your home zip code.
Wow, that was a lot of
You don't give us your address or anything, but you can have your home zip code basically refine your local square, is what we call it. And that'll show you all the businesses near you. So we want this to certainly be something that supports both the local and the online businesses so that no matter where you are in the country, whether you live in a very dense suburban area, or you live in a pretty, scarcely populated rural area, you have opportunities at every single point of your experience. The last thing I'll mention too is that there's a great opportunity to connect with other consumers and businesses in a social environment on the platform through our groups feature. So you can actually join groups, talk about different products, made in the USA, services. You can talk about farming in your front yard, self-sustainability. I mean, there's a lot of really cool sort of economic geared groups that you can join on the platform as well.
Man, that is great news. You know, we get lots of questions about where to shop and, which products, we'll have people call and say, is there a biblically responsible cell phone provider or, different things like that. And I think this is a great service. We are so grateful for what you are doing in helping to fight this wokeism that we're seeing in corporate America. Well, I hope that our listeners will go to your, and I'm going to get you to say it again, how we find it, but I hope they will go there, they will download the app, they will start to take a look at what you're doing. So tell us again exactly where to go to get the app.
Would love to. publicsq.com. So if you go to www.publicsq.com, that's the best place to get started. It'll take you to the sign-in page, the App Store, or Google Play. And we'd love it if you join us on the journey.
And Michael, you're in California, aren't you?
Yes, pray for me, please.
Well, folks, there it is. Proof that there is a remnant in California. So continue to pray for California that remnant would grow and that we would help to fight the good fight. So check out publicsq.com, get the app, and find out what you can do to be a good steward of your patronage.
On. It's so nice having this. Not as useful.
Today in the studio, folks, I've got an extra patriotic treat for you. Michael Seifert is in the house. Michael, what's happening?
Great to be here.
Folks, if you guys don't know this guy, you can find him on Instagram at Real Michael Seifert. He's also at Official Public SQ for Square. He invented or created Public Square, which is an app that basically is aggregating all of the, I don't even know what word to use, but businesses that are patriotic.
You got it.
That believe in, keeping America, and I don't want to say great because of Trump, but great again.
Yeah.
Which I never thought it was bad, but of recently.
All right, time to stop. Nothing new.